On After 8 this morning, Medicaid reform for the disabled. Recently, Senator John Chafee introduced legislation to overhaul the federal Medicaid program to improve services provided to the nation's mentally retarded and disabled. Based on a successful model in Rhode Island, the bill would encourage states to spend less on institutionalization and more money on providing community-based services. Senator Chafee joins us this morning from our Washington newsroom. Senator, good morning.
Good morning.
Could you give us specifically the outlines of this proposal?
What my bill is all about is about choices for individuals, an opportunity for that individual to be in the setting that is best for him or her. It might be in home, it might be in a small community living group, it might be in an individual apartment, or it might be in an institution. Currently, the federal law that provides monies to help the disabled, mentally or physically disabled, is almost totally oriented toward institutionalization. And in many instances, that is not the best place for an individual to reach his or her full potential.
Senator, as you know, we have been joined this morning by Marty Pratt, president of the Voice of the Retarded, whose organization is opposed to the senator's proposed legislation. Mr. Pratt, what exactly are your objections to this? It sounds like a reasonable program.
Well, let me say that we applaud Senator Chafee's efforts to make a better life for the handicapped, the mentally retarded. We also believe in group community living very strongly, but we do not support the bill because of the fact that it has or will have the same results as did the other two bills, and which is, of course, to close the larger facilities eventually.
Would that be a bad thing, Senator, or a good thing to close these larger facilities?
Well, first of all, it doesn't do that. Mr. Pratt may not be up with the current bill, but my bill provides level funding, the same funding that currently exists for the institutions as they are now receiving. And if that state chooses to keep institution A, B, or C going, it can do so. But it does encourage the creation of group homes of a smaller size where, as I say, an individual can be in a small setting, or it provides money to assist the individual if the parents wish to keep that individual at home. And frequently, and we believe almost always, that's best for the individual, to be in a small setting.
It seems to me that is the central question here. How can we provide the best care? It's now a question of whether it's the large institution or the smaller, or a combination. How about this idea that you can do both, have a combination of the two, Mr. Pratt?
Well, I would like to reply to the senator that I do know about his freeze on funds for the larger facilities. But the fact of the matter is that if you have a freeze on funds for the larger facilities, eventually you're going to find that their funding is so low that they cannot maintain the standard of services necessary, and therefore, when they are surveyed by a federal agency like Healthcare Financing Administration, they will be decertified and then forced to close. We feel that there should be a wide range option of services equally funded with no bias in either the larger facility or the small group community home, which there is at the present time and would be under this bill.
Well, I just want to point out that the thrust of the legislation is to encourage the movement into the smaller settings. And there's out there a large group that is dedicated to the concept of institutionalization without recognizing that what's best for the individual frequently is to be in a smaller setting, and that's what my legislation encourages, all with the proper safeguards to see that that choice is best for that individual.
What about the argument that there might be less supervision in the smaller groups as opposed to a large institution when you can really check on the quality of care? Isn't it easier to do that in a big institution?
No, I don't think so. As we all know, there have been all kinds of shocking incidences that have occurred in major institutions, and that doesn't mean that they couldn't occur in a smaller institution or smaller setting as well. But this legislation is carefully tailored so there's proper supervision. It cannot go forward unless everything is in place, including the proper supervision. We've had great success with this in Rhode Island, as have other states that are doing it. And this, we've got to look, what's best for the individual? Let's look at it that way. Instead of talking about an institution or anything else, what's best for the individual, and clearly the choice is the best for the individual.
A final word here from Mr. Pratt.
Well, I understand what the senator is saying in terms of letting them live in the community, but they should have the right of choice. This bill does not give an individual the right of choice to either live in a larger facility or to live in a group community home. It mandates the moving them out of larger facilities into smaller facilities, and that is definitely what we oppose. That is not right, and pardon me, a retarded adult should have the right to live either in a larger facility or in a smaller facility.
Gentlemen, and the debate goes on. We thank you for sharing part of it with us this morning. Thank you, too, Senator. We'll be back in just a minute, right after these messages.